The month of March is Autism Awareness Month, so we've partnered up with an organization called Raising the Ladder to bring you a series of interviews in order to raise awareness about the condition. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today we are super excited to be in the presence of special needs teachers. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Mrs. Irina Ivanova, as well as Mr. Philip Udinge. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
So I'd like to know from the two of you, how long have you been special needs teachers? We can start with the lady first.
Hello everyone. Working with the special kids. I'm not calling them special needs kids, but they are special kids. So for about 20 years. And yes, unfortunately, we're getting more and more kids who is special and who needs our special attention.
All right, thank you. And what about you, Mr. Udinge?
Hello, welcome to our program. I've been teaching special needs individuals for the past 23 years.
Wow.
8 years, plus the 8 years I've been teaching the mainstream before I became a specialist teacher. And then I'm also an educational therapist. Yes.
And what are some of the unique trainings that both of you have received in order to make you special needs teachers?
Besides that, I do have the degree in teaching profession. I've done my courses and my training in integrated learning therapy, which is a program which allowed me to work and to enhance some stimulating program together with academical subject with the kids, and that it's really showing benefit for the kids when we applying that stimulating program. We are doing that on the daily basis. Apparently in the morning the class comes and we are doing stimulation, sensory stimulation, to prepare kids for the learning sessions. And then after the academic lessons, so we're ending the day again with another session of sensory stimulation. And that's where our kids really take their benefits from. Yes.
And yourself?
Yes, I first trained as a mainstream teacher, and then from there I took over to train as a specialist teacher. And then on top of that, I did being the educational therapist I am today.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Could you please tell us a little bit about the unique challenges that children with autism face in the learning environment, and how do you address them?
The spectrum, autistic spectrum, it's very wide. That's the reason, first of all, our classes are very small. 10, 11, maximum 12 kids, because each and every child do have their way to learn, and they do have their way to socialize and to approach their own task when you work with them. So that's why you cannot say that it's really challenging. When you get to know each child and when you work one-on-one, so you could find the way how to help him the way, him or her, to help to learn the things, to help to connect with the other children or even with the atmosphere which is around. So that's why it's not really challenging, because it's on daily basic, you know, that's what you do with the children. And at the end, when you see the results, that's what it's like, wow, yes, the child, I mean, progressing, we've done something together, and you cannot say that I've done something, because that is the work for the child first of all, himself or herself, the parents, the teachers, the therapists, it's all together. I wouldn't put it like a challenging, it's a different approach. So that's, I would put it like that.
That's a good way of putting it. And what do you think those differences are, Mr. Philip, in a sense of, compared to mainstream education, what needs to be changed for a child who is diagnosed with autism?
Okay, we may need to know what is autism. That is a broad range of conditions that are characterized by challenges. It can be in speech, nonverbal communication, repetitive behaviors. Now, when we get to that, then you notice that they have different challenges. It can be on the social aspect of it. Yes. We have to cater for that, as she has said. Then you look at on the academic part, you'll notice that they need some repetitions when you are doing something. But that is a challenge that we meet, like when you're in classes with the students. And she has noted that it's not a challenge as per se, but it's a way of life for us, for the students, because as it is a spectrum, each student comes with different problems, or they show different behaviors which should be treated differently. And these ones could be categorized in different groups, where you notice is like, for example, if it is the cognitive part of it, the approach is you do what you call task analysis for a particular concept that they want to learn. And then once you do this task analysis, you break down into smaller components, because they cannot choose the whole thing at one time. They have to go slowly, bit by bit. And that's how you normally achieve what you want to achieve. And then if you look at, like, because you say social deficits, you notice that human beings are social animals. We need to socialize or to fit into the society. It's also our aim in classes with students, so that they also fit wherever they are. So we really have to make real setups where the kids are easily, like, integrated into the main society. So those are some of the challenges that we may meet with children with challenges of autism as we go on. Yeah, there is quite a number of items that we face, from cognitive, social, and then also the other thing you notice, like students with autism, change of setups. They should not be changed anyhow at random. They really get frustrated or whatever. So you have to be very careful. You also look at, like, sound or background of anything. The room should be, like, quiet and all those. Sometimes for some you can even use, like, earbuds, because the moment the noise is too loud, it really shifts the child from attention. And it also depends on when you are talking to the students, most of them. You have to look at your voice, whether it is, because you notice some kids will even shut their ears to something will be happening, and then they tend to move away from what you are really concentrating on with them. So it's quite a number of things that we meet in the classes every day, and each and every problem comes in a different way with a different student altogether. True. Actually, this is a group we call heterogeneous. They are not homogeneous. They are different, they are taught differently. You cannot teach the same way that you teach A, you cannot teach B, because they just show different traits of behaviors. Yes.
Awesome. As a teacher, do you believe that you have enough resources to teach children with autism? And if not, what are some of the additional resources that you'd like to have access to?
About resources, even if you ask the teacher from the mainstream, it's never enough, the resources. Well, you have to be, and when you work with the kids, with our kids, you have to be resourceful, and you have to improvise a lot. Because you see, some of the kids, lots of them, they do have very, very rich imagination. So like even the last week I brought, you know, the tubes, the pipes, and they made something with those pipes, and they put around another pieces of paper, you know what. So, and okay, the resources which you can get, like for really proper sensory room, it comes with the cost. So then, for example, in the class, if you want to have a perfect class with the children and spectrum, first of all, it's supposed to be we're supposed to have a special light, yellow light, not like we do have that normal blue light, because some of the kids they got affected visually, they got affected of that. Then of course in the class must be really a very well equipped sensory room where the kids could practice and could enhance the sensory thing. The special books which some of the kids they do, and they do have the like a big kids books with the very big visual pictures. So lots of course puzzles and lots of blocks. I mean all that thing. That's what you can really buy. But the thing is, now we are using a lot what we can use boxes. The kids they love to do cutting, painting, you know, they actually love to make things themselves. So that's why, you know what, and it's very interesting because sometimes obviously you do have the plan for the day, like today we will do maths or something, and the child would come with 2 or 3 boxes from cereal or from, you know, from home, and he got the idea, teacher, I do have the idea, let's make that one. And of course we change the plan and we start to do the things with those boxes and trying to implement our plan, maths plan, in those boxes. I mean, as a teacher, you have to be resourceful, you know, you have to be creative, because you cannot be bored. You have to keep all the time those kids amused, to keep the interest, that's the only way they could learn. So that's why, I mean, and if you would look in the class, we do have those balls, body balls, because when they're learning, they don't really sit as a mainstream at the desk, not necessary. Some of them they're standing, some of them they are lying on the carpet, some of them just walking, some of them. So, and that's what about resources. Yes, you can buy nice resources, which they do come in cost, but the kids themselves, they are very resourceful, and they actually teach us as a teacher, instead of throwing the plastic bottle, no, I will put it in the bag and bring that in the class, because we can use this to make something with that. Yes, that's
awesome.
Yes.
Would you like to add anything, Mr. Philip?
Yes, she has really worked on most of the things when it comes to resources, but I'm going to touch on other resources that I feel really lack in our line of duty, because you know there's a saying that a kid is raised by the whole village, not one person.
Right.
That is on African culture. So what happens is we really need the assistance of other individuals to come into. It's a resource on its own. And you'll notice that you receive a child, and this child maybe the last time they had for a psychological report is something like about 3-4 years ago. And working with an old psychological report becomes a challenge on its own. So those are some of the resources that I always think that we don't really have adequate resources, because when we are working, the way we're working, we need to have an update on what is really happening. Is there an improvement? And that improvement, we get it from the psychologists. You get it. The occupational therapists. So you'll notice that that gap there's a wide gap. And there are reasons why we do not have such reports. Cost prohibitive and all those things. I want to believe if only we can look at like the resources that she was talking about and the other resources again, that will make the job very easier than what it is at the moment. But sometimes you are like in the dark, you don't have a support system that can help you, and that becomes a problem. And you'll notice that sometimes it also disadvantages the students. When they are supposed to be at a particular level, you are not aware because of these prohibitive costs that I told you. So the parent would rather continue getting prescription from the teacher. That becomes a problem. So it's like the resources are never adequate, as much as you try and improvise.
I understand that.
Exactly.
Yes, it's kind of, if I may, it's kind of supporting system.
Okay.
Because when the child eventually had that spectrum approved by the medical doctors, so then that's where parents and the school and the child needs all that support, which it's let's take our place Gaborone, which it's not really much help parents can get, because if you would go in the hospitals or organization which are working on the government basis, like we do have it Marina, to get child to assessed, the list is so long. And the private doctors, not lots of parents they could afford that, and medical aid, it's not really, I would say, friendly to those families. So yes, that's what we are talking, the resource, and in the sense of supporting, it could be better. That's why we do have that organization, just to have all that support which parents and children need.
Can I add on to that one?
Of course. Yeah.
Because Raising the Ladder is an organization, I belong to Raising the Ladder. We sat down and then we say, okay, let's try and do differently. And what is the different thing that we can do? Is to really look at how parents are struggling, because one psychological report may cost 4,000 or so. And we sat down and then we agreed that we are going to have a free assessment for all who are 3 years, and if I'm not mistaken, up to 5 years of age. And it was done freely at the Regent Hill. And we intend, if we have got enough resources, we intend to have another one. And also, like this year, we may even go out, if we have got the resources, to other towns and cities around Botswana, where we notice, because the most important thing is early intervention. The moment we intervene earlier, the better the child will benefit.
Right.
But if the child is going to be, we are going to intervene at the age of about 9, 10, then we might have lost the war. So we just praying that we have enough resources, the human resources there, whereby they are ready to give their services and for free, And then we are just very hopeful that we'll go a step further, going to Melopulule, starting with the towns that are very close to us, and make those assessments for free and giving them those reports so that they can be used by any schools that enroll those students. And if you notice, like, for example, you have some students like in government schools. Those in private schools can be a bit lucky. And they just go, they are mainstream, they call it inclusion. And do you know how effective it is when someone does not even have a psychological report, and even the other one, they don't even know how to handle the child. They just sit with the child comes in the morning, goes at 12 o'clock home, he was in school, that's it. And the parents are also not knowledgeable, but they notice that there is a problem with my child, but they don't have anywhere to get assistance, proper assistance. So we need a team of, can be volunteers, because that time we're doing volunteering, is raising the ladder. We need a team of volunteers who can come in, helping. That is plowing back to the society.
All right. Before a child enrolls in special needs education, what are the prerequisites? Because you're speaking about psychological reports. Do they have to have a report?
We have a psychological report. We need to have a psychological report. It guides us and see where, even if we're doing an assessment, we make a proper assessment using the psychological report. Where is the child operating? What's the problem with the child? And then we do our own assessment again. Then from there we start assisting the child.
And you work hand in hand with other allies, for example, speech therapy. Do you refer them? Or do you refer
Exactly. Where there is a need for a speech therapist, we refer. But you know, the prohibitive thing is about money, most of them. Because to them it costs an arm and half to pay those for those services. So you notice that our resources now, they shrink again, and there's not much that we can do. Unless we only have a number of volunteers, like the volunteers we had last year.
So that brings us to our next discussion point, right? Let's help the public, right? How can we as the public chip in? What are some of the top initiatives you'd like to see happen in order to improve autism in this country, right? So you've mentioned as well seeing more volunteers is necessary. What else do you think we can do as the public?
Okay, I was looking at this angle and say, okay, why don't you take the initiative as a population and approach like medical aid companies, that they also include psychological assessment or occupational therapist and visits as part of the medical aid. Because this child needs it. Just like a child with flu, they need to visit, and then it has to be paid for by the medical aid. That is one of the things. The second thing that I'm so worried about is like, if you look at the number of students that we receive, they will be already maybe around 9 years of age and 10 years of age. And an assessment has never been done. So we are saying early intervention. If the kid is assessed at a very early stage, that is mostly when in preschools. Why don't we equip our preschool teachers on identification and intervention methods? That should be part of their training when the program is done for them, so that it becomes easier when the child comes to and you just take over from there. That is my take. Then the other thing is like, I would love to see where people advocate, because the problem is fewer people have got kids with autism, which make it very difficult for them to make a voice. But then what we'll advocate for is for, let's say, for the government to put more resources in this, coming together with Raising the Ladder, Support for Learning, all those organizations that are vying for the improvement of individuals with autism. The government pulls in resources. And the other thing that I'm very worried about, because there is inclusive education, where you find out that they're included in the mainstream. Is there anything real happening in these classes? Because the teachers, I don't think they even received enough training to handle these students. And these kids just go to school. At the end of the day, they are age of 18, they're out of school.
And don't perform at their full potential.
Yes. Exactly. But if they are like attended to very closely, they are likely to do something. I have got quite a number that I know that have really made it. Why? Because they were attended properly, closely, and assisted properly. So my wish is to have parents also to be actively involved. The government itself encouraging the parents to be actively involved. Because there's one thing that I always argue. Whenever a kid comes to me, the first person that I want to talk to is the parent. They know the child better than myself.
Very true.
They know the child better than myself. So if we are sidelining the parents out of the education or whatever the assistance that their kids are supposed to be getting, it becomes a challenge. So let us start from there, educating parents. When they notice something amiss on their kid, they report it straight away so that they get an intervention earlier program. That is my take.
Those are excellent points.
Thank you.
Honestly, very excellent. I think we should even repeat them. Definitely getting medical aids to cover the psychological assessments. Advocacy is so important. Educating parents and educating early childhood teachers. That is so important. You know, because sometimes we look at daycare or preschool as a place to just drop off your child to learn how to color and shapes and all this. But it's where you'll pick up the early signs, behavioral issues, speech issues. So I think that those are brilliant points. Yeah. Would you like to add anything?
Well, I wish that the public awareness about autism is kind of spread more. That people do understand that when they see the family outing at restaurants, in the shopping mall, and child acting. So it's not the parents who are blamed. And if we do have in the family children with that irregularity, people they should know, they shouldn't really be blaming parents or family that it's something wrong with the child because of the family. So we should remember that autism spectrum autistic, it's genetically, most of the time it's a genetically condition. Sometimes the children, even adults, they could get that condition because of some sicknesses or some accidents or something. So that's why I just begging people, they when they see the child having tantrums and parents they really struggling, they don't know what to do, please just think twice to blame the parents. And if it's possible to give the hands to the parent, it doesn't mean that you should go to child and hug him or something, because lots of kids, they don't like to be touched. But just show compassion. Yes, show support. Because those families, they are going through a lot. They're going through a lot because, first of all, it's very difficult to really admit, yes, my child is different. Then when you admit, sometimes you don't know what to do because, as I said, even in gaps, we don't have lots of specialists, and sometimes parents, they don't even know the chain, where to start with. So that's why, I mean, we really, really have to show our compassion and our help, and if it's possible anyway, just to give the hands. Just to, even if your next door or your relative do have a child with condition, even if you will offer to look after the child for 2 hours, just to give a time, parents to spend together, to have their own time, just to, you know, to have that quality time. It would be very, very helpful for the peace of the child and for the family peace. That's what I'm pleading to the public, because really those kids and family, they need all support from the society which they could get.
That is an excellent point. Thank you so much for raising that. We really do need to be less judgmental as a society, and hopefully all this awareness will help us with that, you know. It's so common in our cultures to see a child who's maybe acting up or throwing a tantrum in public and just assume, oh, it's poor parenting or the child is not disciplined enough. But we don't know the underlying conditions, right? So we do need to have a bit more compassion and be more helpful. Which actually brings me to my next question, right? I think nobody knows better about discipline than teachers, probably. And what are some of the advice that you give to parents in disciplining their children, you know? Because it can be tricky to say, okay, is the child maybe not understanding? Should we just accept any behavior? How do we handle the child when they're acting up or when they're doing things I don't want them to do? What are some of the tools you give parents?
Especially most individuals with autism, when they're acting out, it means something has happened. And as a parent, I would advise that they should look into it and say, what really triggered this? One thing that I want to tell you is spices. You'll notice the child was settled quite nicely. After the meal, the child is just like up and about. So you may need to remove spices in their diet. Then the other thing is like noisy backgrounds. They tend to trigger. If they have got ADHD, they tend to trigger that. So they have to be cautious of that. And change of setups. The individuals with autism, they are not very comfortable with change of setups. You have to talk to them first, that they understand we are going to do this, or we are going to visit uncle what on that part. They should know about it before they get there. Because if you tell them 2 days, in 2 days' time, you notice they start even asking yourself, Mommy or Daddy, when are we visiting uncle? By the time they get there, you notice that the behavior is not that, but just taking them, when you knew that we were supposed to visit uncle in the next week, it would be very unfortunate. The change of setups, they are not very comfortable with it. And the other thing I want to tell parents is, it's not wise to deny. Denial is the worst enemy on the development of the child with autism. They have to accept and then get prescriptions.
Accept the diagnosis.
Exactly, on how best they can assist their child. That's what I want to advise the parents mostly.
Okay.
And also, the other thing that I would like to ask the parents is, if their child is getting assistance, it can be with any specialist, they should be very patient because the outcome is not instant. As I told you that the condition is so far, it's a spectrum.
Yes.
So the outcome is not instant. It may take some time. It could be having a student for the next 6 months. But if the parent is very, very observant, they will notice that there is a slight improvement in my child, and they should count on that. But there's what we call the Pygmalion effect, high expectation, high achievement. So the moment you reward them by doing the right thing, they are likely going to do the right thing in the next moment, or even better, achieve it. Remember, kids with autism are human beings. Any rule that applies on the human being also applies on them. I was talking to someone just when I got in here. We found a student who was like around Irene, if you notice, isn't it? And then said, no, I was not angry, I was just upset. She couldn't go home because she knows Irene loves her. So the best thing was to make peace with Irene. That's why she ended up saying that, I want to make you happy, I love you. So we have to be very patient with our kids with autism.
Yes.
And sometimes they are very sensitive
Yes.
to situations.
Makes sense.
So the best is just like to really start your kid, how is the kid, and take notes in your head. The next moment this happens, how am I going to do it? That helps a lot.
And I love that you touched as well on patience. Even when I walked in, I observed Mrs. Irina interacting with the child, and I was like, school must have changed since I was in school, because I don't remember my teachers being this gentle and, you know, patient. And she was saying, no, don't sit like that, sit like this. And, you know, the child just really felt comfortable interacting with her. She was very patient. She was talking to her in a kind, calm tone of voice. And it's interesting to observe, you know, the needs of the child and how to meet them. Is there anything you'd like to add on that?
Well, discipline. And you know what? It's generally for any child, discipline, it's very important, because discipline helps actually to act, and not to act out, but to know what is right and what is wrong, what you can do, what you are not allowed. And only through teaching that you can actually bring up the child who does know what is allowed to do, what is not allowed. You teach him how to be responsible and how to be polite and how to be respectful. So now look what's happened with our kids. Because they learn different way and they act in different way, they are very, very wise, in the sense that when they don't want to do something, they start to perform drama, and very often they don't want even to say, I don't want to do it. They would just start to cry and to throw things and so. And that's where the first mistake of the parents came, because they think, oh, poor child, because of his condition, let him be. And that's what's happened. The child let him doing whatever. So now he's pushing more and more and more. Now the child doesn't want to pick up the toys after plays. Now he doesn't want to dress up. Trust me, any autistic child in any spectrum is able to dress himself or herself if he done it every day. You see? So now, and the homework comes. Well, I mean, the homework, even with the mainstream, it's a challenge, isn't it? So with the little one, with our kids, it's double challenge. So now the homework comes, and normally, isn't it, Philip, we don't give like a homework, like parents, they sit up to 10 o'clock in the evening and doing that homework, because we do understand the child is tired at school. He need really the child needs assistance at home, and the parents from work, and they tired as well. So that's why normally the homework just to repeat, and that the child could get in the routine, have responsibility that he's in school, not in the kindergarten. So and sometimes child would come without the homework. Why the homework you didn't do the homework? The parents would write, he refused to do the homework. And I'm sorry, the child 6-7 years old, how he can refuse to do something when he is 7 years old? The parents could not do nothing to train the child to do the routine thing, and 7 years old. Now, those parents, they have to ask themselves a question, what they going to do with the child when the child would be teenager, 13 years old, 14 years old. So that's why, you know what, those our kids, they need really, really discipline, because when they do have discipline, they feel safe, they feel cared of, they feel that somebody care about them, that they're part of that. So that's why particularly our kids, they really, really do need a discipline. And that when they do have discipline, and we don't punish them, we don't even say you will be punished, because they are kids. The punishment It's like for adults who done a crime and go to prison. That's what they punished, isn't it? It's a punishment. Our kids, we don't punish. We discipline them. Because the more they would know the rules, the easier for them would be proceed in their life to behave outside the house, even inside the house, in the class, because they would know what they can do and what they cannot do. And the other things is consistency, because if 2 days on the row you would say no, 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 and then you're in good mood and you would say, okay, let it be, that's it. That's where you lost your child. So that's I think you agree with me. Our kids, they need more discipline than the kids from the mainstream.
Okay, so rewarding good behavior, routine, consistency, those are some of the very important tools.
And we don't punish them. Please, please, please. We don't even say the word punishment. We don't. We discipline them.
Just withdraw love. And then they feel that the love has been withdrawn. And they feel bad. And then they tend to do the right thing.
Because it's punishment, it's too harsh word. No.
I love that you're saying that, speaking about withdrawal of love, because sometimes, when the way we view autistic people, or especially people who are not necessarily in the medical field or not necessarily privy to being around autistic children, but people often feel that these children are antisocial, they don't like people, right? That's not the case.
That's not the case.
Right? It's not the case.
It's not
They
the
still
case.
do want love, and they have love, they give love, they show love, they receive love,
Exactly.
right? But it looks different.
It looks different.
Then, yes.
That's an excellent point. So on a lighter note, I'd love to hear about some of the most rewarding experiences you've had as a special needs teacher and handling children with autism. Are there any stories that are standing out to you?
I
What
think
makes
we
you
do have
smile?
every day some stories, because every day we do have small victories, isn't it? But obviously sometimes we do have the other way around, when child goes like, wow, he does it, and then suddenly you don't understand why it goes like. That's what somehow that's it's kind of standing in your mind much longer, because you have to go to find the other way how to do it, to bring him back from there. So that's why for me, I mean, like, I every day have something to be thankful for. It's the child done something beautiful, something new, something, because those kids, they every day they're showing something new. And yes,
That's beautiful.
I don't know, maybe you do have something.
You don't want to isolate one specific incident. All of them, it's all right.
Yes, I can't even kind of specify.
Okay.
It's like when I started dealing with students with special needs, it was like climbing Mount Everest, because there was denial. You try and prescribe something, and the parent or the parents, they're in great denial. It becomes very difficult. And now, currently, I'm so happy. It's now, the scales are better now. Maybe I can safely say something like about 90% of parents now are no longer in denial. And we work quite smoothly, and those are great accolades that I can really talk about, to the extent that I'm able to advise parents on their child, on which route to take. Because if they are failing the academic way, definitely everyone has got their talent somewhere, somehow.
True, that's true.
And this should be tapped straight from home, and you notice it when the child comes into school. So when you talk to the parent, they tell you that he likes 1, 2, 3 things and so forth. And at one time I was talking to another parent, and the child was really like failing in this academic prowess. And then I said, but I notice this should be something that he's very good at and has got great interest in it. He said, swimming. Then I said, swimming? He has got very good. He said, yes. And I said, you know what? He's going to graduate from you very soon. Why don't you like take swimming seriously, but on another level of him being a coach, such that the moment he helps anywhere around where they do like a private coaching for swimming, then he will graduate into what? Being a good coach. And then you can easily open something for him. You definitely get some students. And I tell you, he's running his own swimming academy at the moment.
Wow.
Exactly,
Wow.
because he could write, he could read, and everything. You get it.
Yeah.
Another one is like, I talked to the parents. Then I said, your child has got 1, 2, 3. They agreed, and we sat down. So, Mr. Udinge, what do you advise us to do? I said, okay, it's all right. Let's take this route. And truly, because I told them, we don't have to rush him. Well, you should not compare him with the younger sister or whoever it is. That is one problem that we have sometimes in families, where parents tend to compare kids. So they took him separately because I told him that he should have his own program. They took him separately. They said, well, if he can write IG, but it should be done in smaller parts, a few subjects at a time. Right. I'm telling you, he's doing his master's in IT in China at the moment. Wow. He calls me, video, whatever it is. So I tell you, it's quite a lot. And the journey has not been smooth from where I started up to now. But I noticed, like, at one time I was talking to someone, I said, never lie to a Botswana parent with a child with special needs. They do their reading, they understand their kids, which is a very good thing. When you go to other communities, they don't understand about their own. So I just feel a lot is happening in Botswana. Organizations are helping parents to realize what their children really need. Because if you sit for a long time in denial, you will be actually denying the child the special assistance that the child is supposed to get. So I am quite excited because at this level, I'm telling you, we are achieving a lot.
Wow.
Thank you, yes.
Incredible. Not all heroes wear capes. You guys are prime examples of that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you have anything that you'd like to add or any final remarks about autism from an educator's standpoint? Anything that you're like, man, I just wish people knew this about autism, or I just wish parents knew
I
this?
would encourage advocacy.
Advocacy.
Let's support organizations that are vying for the improvement of kids with autism. Let's support them.
Excellent.
Left, right, and center. If they are anywhere who've got a space in their working, can be medical doctors, psychologists, occupational therapists, specialist teachers. Let's come together. Let's volunteer.
Yes.
Because once we volunteer, we make the society better.
That's true.
Thank you.
And anybody can volunteer, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes, and for the parents, please, when you see your toddler and you notice that it's something it's different or he plays the different way, please don't wait for longer. Maybe he would grow out of it. Please, just the child need your assessment. First of all, your assessment, of course, as a parent, because if you notice something, it's you don't feel right. You know, like parents, they do have that special feeling. It's something I'm not agree with. So please don't sit, don't wait. The sooner you will start to work with your kids, with the specialist, the more success you will get, the better your child start to improve and to get the all stimulation which the child have. And just we should realize those kids, they are very special, and special in the way they look at us and they communicate with us. They are very, very special in their all talents, and for us it's to learn how to open up those kids. It's not for them, it's for us to learn from them and to learn how to be with them. Yes, that's what.
Thank you very much, teachers. This has been an absolute pleasure and a masterclass of its own.
You're most welcome.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
We'd love to see you again. And please do get in touch with Raising the Ladder so that you may know how to support them. Where can they find you?
Facebook, we are there.
Okay, we'll put up the social media tags. But thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this segment and learned a lot. Please do remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and check out Raising the Ladder on Facebook to know how you can get in touch and support them. Thank you. Until next time.